So on Monday, we posted independent assignment, a pretty cool activity actually. If you take a look at module 2, I've extended the deadline here so you can still get this in, but this is a short but very productive YouTube. I've found Network Chuck to be a bit intense, but he covers a lot of material in a short period of time. And what you want to do is capture the output by redirecting the screen content to command.1, command.2, and command.3. I wanted to explain what this means. So let's take an example.
There's a better way to make money as a health expert than trading your time for money. 12 months ago, I was a burnout doctor. Here are the top 40 Windows command prompt commands you need to know. And we're going to do this in
10 minutes. 40 commands in 10 minutes, right? So a lot of interesting stuff in a very short period of time. How's the audio on your side? Can you hear pretty good?
Pretty decent.
10 minutes. So first, let's launch our Windows command prompt. Either hit Windows key S or click the start menu icon and search for CMD. Right-click that.
So Windows plus S, right? So the Windows key is this key on your keyboard plus S. And I don't see how that does it, but let's keep going.
Put that sucker in a beast mode. Run as administrator. Here's our playground. Let's go. What prompt? Either hit Windows key S or click the start menu icon and search for CMD. Right-click that. Put that sucker in a beast mode. Run as administrator. Here's our playground.
Put it into beast mode. So you're putting it in administrator mode. Does everybody understand that?
Yes. Also for the Windows S shortcut, he was talking about the short way to search it, not to open it.
Ah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, he goes pretty fast. And sometimes you have to replay it. And he stuffs a lot of content into a very short period of time. So yeah, you would hit your Windows S and then type in CMD. And then you can run as administrator beast mode, right? So you'll see administrator in the upper left corner. Now, what I wanted to do was to explain a little more what we mean by recapturing, in case we had not covered that yet in our class. So when you cover the output into a text file, redirection is a character on your keyboard. It's the shift period. There's a right angle bracket or right arrow symbol over the period key on your keyboard if you press the shift key, right? So what I want to do is just show you what we mean by this. And you can keep it real simple to capture. You can capture the text files in the main directory of your C drive, or you can put them in the temp folder, all right? So once again, here we go.
Let's go. What's your computer's IP address? We can find out with IP config. Bam, all your IP information right there, but not everything.
All right, so that's a good example, although in the assignment I said I don't want you to do the first 3 commands, right? Don't capture and try the first 3 commands and then not do anything else later in the series. So if we were to go here and fast forward,
servers, bam, kind of, there they are. Wasn't as easy as I thought. And even cooler and crazier is you can turn off the Windows Defender firewall with 1 command. Bam, turned off. But don't worry, the big brother's always a good guy. If there's any errors, and fix them. You may want to try a -R. This will actually check for physical sector issues. And
so chock full of really interesting command line utilities. And remember that if you're deploying operating systems, the expectation is you should know some of this command line stuff. So let's see if I can catch one other one that might have good output.
Right now. Sorry, you were too slow, but you wouldn't have been if you used this command. Get Mac /v. Bam, there it is right there. All your
Perfect. So there's a great command that would give you the MAC addresses of all your network interfaces, just like that, okay? So how do you capture that to cmd.txt? You're going to get MAC, and what was the command here? -v for verbose. V means give me all the detail. Verbose means all of it. And instead of just hitting enter, well, I'll hit enter. And you see my results. If I increase the width of my command prompt, I have nice output, right? Which is what he's doing here. Otherwise it gets scrunchy and weird. Everybody with me so far? Hello, hello? Okay, that's good to know. All right, so let's repeat the same thing, only let's redirect it. I'm gonna hit my up arrow key, and then I'm gonna put shift period to enter that right angle bracket. That's the redirection operator. And I'm going to put it into my cmd1.txt, right? Now, when I do that, it's going to take the output and stuff it into the C drive root directory right here. And I can open it up and there's my output captured. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, what happens if I repeat the same command, only I do this? I include a temp directory. That means I'm going into my temp directory, and now I'll find command 1, and it's the same thing, right? So I usually like using the temp directory. And that's what we mean by this option. Does anyone have any questions about what I've just demonstrated for the assignment? For this assignment about command 1, command 2, and command 3. Now you could take a screenshot and just capture the screenshot and upload the screenshot for 1, 2, and 3. But it's probably a good idea to learn how to redirect the output for commands, okay? So what I did was open this up until 11:59 p.m. today. If you haven't done it, make sure you get it done and get it in, all right?
Okay, I didn't do that, but I did use the copy to clipboard shortcut that he did. So
Cool. Yeah, great tips and tricks, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, just really helpful. And that's an aspect of this module we want you to get a flavor for, right? We want you to start getting your feet wet with commands. You know, now, as far as the install matrix, right? We have a quick assignment I want you to complete today. So all I want you to do is to use the Module 2 Study Guide Addendum and complete the install method matrix as shown in class. So we're gonna open this up, right? So if you download this, you'll end up with a screen that looks like this. Why don't you do that right now? I want you to follow along with the same stuff I'm doing as I do it, okay? And if I'm reading this, it says using the Module 2 Study Guide Addendum. So I go in here. So I click on this to download it and I open it. It says include all the methods listed for each type of install, client, server, and enterprise. So I go into my references folder and here's my addendum. Can everyone see this screen?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that's a little difficult to wrap your head around when it comes to operating system installation methods is that there are so many of them, and some can only be used in one situation. So a given type of install method is really only good for one scenario. And yet there are others, like here's one called DISM, right? DISM. What we're saying is that you're going to use this tool to embed updates in an ISO using PowerShell and DISM. So that's a disk image service management, something like that is what it stands for, right? DISM. And if you notice, and you scroll down the screen, oh, here it is again, Slipstream with DISM. So it's a client method, right? But it's also a server method. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? So you see these things repeating. You see these methods and tools repeating along the way. And so what happens when you're taking the assessment for this module and I tell you, select the scenarios below where Slipstream and DISM is a good candidate for an install method, right? You're going to pull up this reference, and then you're going to look and you're going to see, okay, it's here for client methods, server methods. Let's see. I see it again here for whole system replication, right? So in this reference, this is the type of method. It's for clients. That means Windows 10, Windows 11, you know. Server methods are for server 2019, 2022. I just want to be clear about that. And then this is a different category of that method, right? So OS install media images. You can enhance the OS that's installed. You can use graphical management tools. You can use whole system replication. So those are 4 different methods, right? Those are 4 different ways to work client installations. And what I want you to do with this matrix is I want you to use it to help study for your assessment. So this activity seems like, okay, this is busy work, but it's not, because when you take a look at all of the references that I scoured, the textbook and other Microsoft references, basically you come up with this short list, but very detailed list. And it's hard to pick out which methods apply to what type of install. So the goal for this activity, the goal for this assignment is to start with the first method, right? The first option. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up this and we're going to say install type, live USB, recovery disk, right? And actually, you can narrow down your columns on your form. So let's start on this side here. Do like this and like this, like this. Give yourself a little bit of room to type, right? Everybody see what I'm doing here? Nothing too complicated, right? And what am I doing? I'm putting, you can highlight all of these columns and let's center. All you're going to do is put an X where this is. So if I'm talking about the install type, right? Or install option. Live USB recovery disk. That's what I have here in my reference online. I'm going to look and see, does that option show up again elsewhere? Do I see live USB listed again? Nope. So I'm done. I'm finished. Let's take the next example. Okay. We're using the command line interface and it's slipstream. We're using PowerShell and DSM, right? So it's a command line slipstream using PowerShell and DISM. So I'm going to put CLI slipstream using DISM. Okay. I want to see if that appears anywhere else. Oh, it's a server method. So what does that mean? I'm going to put an X here. I'll put an X here. Let me check the rest. Yeah, this isn't the same. This is a little different. That's DISM, but it's using MSU shares. There it is. So it's whole system replication, same difference. It's command line interface, PowerShell, DISM, right? And here, but DISM isn't with that. That's just PowerShell, right? So that's it. It's not an enterprise method. I'm ready to move on. Let's take one more example. Does everybody see what I'm doing here? Manual MSU repository. When we say MSU repository, we mean MSU store, right? So if I look, I'm going to see it's in clients. See MSU shares, that's manual, right? So that's really the same kind of thing. When you're talking about a repository, you're talking about a share, and it's a manual method. So it's a server method as well. Let me see if this is an enterprise method. No, it's not an enterprise method. Okay. So I put an X here and an X here. That's what you're doing for this activity. So you're basically working down through. You're working down through this addendum, right? All the different options to install an operating system. And what we want you to do is to take the time and complete this install method matrix. And then that way you have an easy reference when you're talking about a specific install method. You can tell, is that something I use for client operating systems like Windows 10 or Windows 11? Am I using it for servers? Am I using it in a corporate environment across the network, right? That's what I want you to do. You'll find some things only appear in the client side, only appear on the server side, only appear in the enterprise side, okay? What you're gonna do when you're finished is you're gonna save this. I'll save it as, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my first initial and last name. And it's the 2.5 install matrix, and that's what I upload for credit on that assignment. Any questions about what we're doing for the 2.5 assignment, the activity here? Can somebody unmute your mic and tell me you're still with us? Welcome, Akeem.
Afternoon.
Okay. So this is your opportunity to finish up with the assignment 2.4 and 2.5. There's one more thing I wanted to share with you. I added a reference to the references folder, the slipstream method example. Now, in previous years, this was actually a solution. But what we found is that with each different version of the operating systems that come out, 20H2, 21H2, 22H2, that the slipstream method changes or simply doesn't work the same. So I'm including this as a reference. If you download this or you click on it, it'll open up this text file. And what this is a simple step-by-step walkthrough of how to use specific commands with ISOs, how to use DISM, DISM, to inject or insert updates into an ISO. Here you see we have a 2019 server ISO that came out in 2019, and I can install 18 months worth of updates into that ISO, inject those before I ever use this for installation, so that I don't have to load updates after I'm finished installing the operating system. That is what we mean by slipstream, okay? And so essentially, you can follow through the series of notes and commands about how to work this process. Now, if you wanted to do something, if you were interested in doing something for additional credit, you could download this reference and then download a copy of server 2022 ISO and then attempt to follow it as far as you could. And again, depending on the version, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you go ahead and do this, as far as you go, if you take screenshots along the way, I'll post additional credit. I just wanted you to be aware of this reference and what it's about and how to use it. Okay. Any questions about the slipstream reference? All right, so what I was going to do is stop sharing and then offer assistance. Each of you can share a screen. You can basically take up these activities and get started on them. I'll go ahead and update the Word document template and it just include these first examples that we've walked through in class. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save a copy of this, and then you can go from here. Okay. Does anyone have any comments or concerns based on the material we've shared today?
So far.
No.